Welcome everybody to today's joint webinar co-hosted by DAAD Information Center Taipei and Uni-assist. I see my colleagues in Germany, our co-hosts already are on the webcam as well. Hello to Germany. Hello. Good morning to Hello. Good morning to Germany and good evening to our Taiwanese participants. Today's webinar is a very well sought after webinar. A lot of students asked for this topic, so I'm very, very happy that we have the opportunity to learn more about the application process as it is organized by Uni-assist. Thank you very much. In Germany, we'll be supported by Marie-Claire, who is responsible for student and university services, and by Thorsten, who is the team leader for the assessment of high school certificates and university diplomas. So they are really the experts who know how to deal with these diplomas. Thorsten is responsible for the region of Asia and also for Taiwanese diplomas. So we're really talking to the
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Goldberger. Thank you for the wonderful introduction with all this general information on studying in Germany. As Mr. Goldberger said, my name is Marie-Claire Hall, and I, as well as my colleague Thorsten, will take you through this presentation on Uni-assist and how we are there to help you with your application process for German universities. So let's move on. I want to just start maybe by telling you what the goal of this webinar is. So really we're hoping that at the end of this webinar, you'll be a Uni-assist expert. You'll be able to know the role and the mandate we play in your application. We'll hope you'll be able to submit a successful application. And also very important that you obtain a bit more information on how Taiwanese certificates and degrees actually qualify for higher education here in Germany. So again, you're welcome to submit questions during the presentation. We'll actually address your questions at the end of this webinar, but feel free as we go along to submit the questions here. So I will just write in here. Yeah, so you can write the questions in here. So our presentation is going to be broken down in 5 roles here. The content is broken down in 5 parts. The role of Uni-assist, how to apply. Then my colleague Thorsten is going to give you some country-specific information. Then I'll come back and give you some tips and just a reminder of the important information. And then, as I said, we'll move along to question and answers. So good, to start off with the role of Uni-assist. So who are we and what do we do? Well, as Mr. Goldberger said in the introduction, Uni-assist is an association of universities. We represent approximately 190 German universities at this point. We're a non-for-profit organization. And maybe sort of in a nutshell to say what we do, we're a working service point for international student applications. What does this mean exactly? It means 2 things. It means that we process applications for German universities, and we evaluate international school university certificates. So we evaluate your credentials and see how these translate in Germany. So we process about 300,000 applications per year. These are applications that come from really all over the world. So here you see the remains of a map of Germany. So you see that we represent universities in large urban centers, but also smaller universities in rural areas. So we represent a large spectrum of universities throughout the country. So as we say here, more than 100 universities work with Uni-assist. When we're talking about the role of Uni-assist, it's important to make a distinction between what Uni-assist does and what the universities will do. So this is what we're trying to demonstrate here in this slide. So you see that Uni-assist is first responsible for processing and evaluating your application. The university is responsible for the admission, right? So Uni-assist is sort of does a pre-evaluation for the universities. We then submit, transfer your applications to the universities, and the universities are the ones who will decide if you're actually granted a study place or not. So I was talking about us processing your evaluation, and what does this mean? So we process and evaluate on the basis of 3 different elements. We basically look at the university criteria. So we get from all these 190 universities, we receive the university criteria, and this criteria varies from university to university, from faculty to faculty, and we're responsible to implement these criteria. So Uni-assist doesn't have any criteria per se. We work with the criteria that are set by the universities. When we're processing and evaluating your application, we'll also evaluate your credentials on the basis of the federal guidelines. These guidelines are available on the ANABIM website, so you have it listed here. If you're interested in researching, if your degree, diploma is admissible for higher education, you can look here. I was saying that we also convert your grades into the German system, so this is done on the basis of the modified Bavarian formula, which you have here laid out here. What's important to know here is that this N-max and N-min is really the maximum possible grade you will get in your university and the lowest passing grade. So through this formula, we'll translate your grade in Taiwan into the German system. So this is what we do when we talk about processing and evaluating your application. So now I want to basically take you through the 6-step application process that Uni-assist has. You'll see the 6 steps outlined here from 1 to 6. It's important to say that these are not necessarily to be done in a chronological order. Some steps might come before, some steps you might have to refer back to them later on in the process. But for clarification and in order to help you, we've broken down this application process into 6 steps. So I'll just now take you through these 6 steps and remind you of the important points you have to keep in mind at each step of the way. So step 1, I like to say this point is often overlooked or not taken seriously enough. Step 1 we say is getting information. It's a very important step, and your main partner at this point will be the universities themselves. So it's important before you start submitting application that you get the information. Get the information from the universities. What do you want to study? Get information about the programs that are offered. Get information about where you actually want to study. Are you aiming at a bigger city, a smaller city, and whatnot? Find out from the universities if Uni-assist is actually responsible for your application. So again, we're not responsible for all universities in Germany, and even within one university, we're not responsible for all applicant groups. So get this information from the university itself. As I was saying, get also information on the programs that are offered. Check the admissions criteria. This can save you frustration and money in submitting applications when you might not even be eligible. Check the application deadlines as well. So I reiterate, Uni-assist doesn't have its own criteria. We don't have our own deadlines. This is information you should be obtaining from the universities. If you want to find out for what universities were actually responsible for, please check our website. You'll see there's a tools section on our website, and you'll have a list there of universities. Also important when you're gathering this general information is to get some information on the country. Mr. Goldberger already talked about the DAAD and how they can help, and these are also links that can be interesting for getting more, as I say, general information on life in Germany and how the higher education system actually works. I've mentioned this website again. It's an important one. So the ANABIM website, if you're looking for information on your degrees and certificates and how they are equivalent here into the German system, the ANABIM website is a good source of information. If you're uncomfortable with researching this in German, you can look on the Uni-assist website. We also have an English version of this data bank, but please get this information in advance. My colleague Thorsten is going to be talking about indirect admission to higher educations later. This means that some of you might have to do a preparatory course, what we call here in Germany a Studiencollege, and you can find more information on this website regarding these preparatory courses and where they're offered at what universities. Moving on to step 2. So you've got the information, you know where you want to apply and what you want to study. It's now time to actually plan your application. At this point in time, it's very important to consult the Uni-assist website. This is where you're going to find some information on the actual application procedure. First question you're going to want to ask yourself is, where am I applying? And does this university work with the standard application procedure, or the VPD? The VPD stands for, in German, Vorprüfungsdokumentation, and this is it's a two-step process. So you'll find all the information on our website. Very important to underline, our processing times are 4 to 6 weeks. So we say apply as early as you can, ideally 8 weeks before the application deadline. This gives you enough time to get your application processed and evaluated. You'll receive your result, and if you've made any mistake, forgotten any document, or submitted any document in the wrong form, you'll be able to correct this mistake. You'll have time before your application deadline to submit any missing documents. If you submit your application right before the deadline or right on the deadline, that's okay. It will be accepted here. You have until the university deadline to apply, but you'll obviously only receive your evaluation report from Uni-assist after the deadline, and that means you can't submit anything else after. So if you can, please apply at least 8 weeks before the deadline. On our website, we have some checklists, so you might want to use these throughout the application process, just as a reminder. So step 3 is assembling your documents. Also, as I was saying, the steps are not to be done necessarily chronologically. Hopefully, you will have started assembling your documents earlier on in the application process, but obtain the required documents. You'll need to get your transcripts, your diplomas, degrees, and whatnot, so you have to obtain these. It's important, if your documents were not issued in English or in German, it's important to get these documents translated. If your school or your university issued the documents in original form in English, you will not need to get them translated. So we accept documents either in English or in German. You're going to have to obtain certified copies. German universities don't require that you actually send in your original. What you have to do is you have to get certified copies. You can get documents certified by a German public authority, by an embassy, by a notary, or by the actual issuing institution itself, so by your school or your university. So it's important to get these certified copies. And if you're applying to several universities, please know that one set of documents is enough. So if you're applying to 5 different universities, you don't have to send 5 copies, certified copies of the same transcript. One transcript is enough. So maybe again to reiterate, we need your certificates in their original language. And if this original language is not English or German, well, then you have to get the documents translated, and you have to send us certified copies of the documents in their original language plus in the translated version. Good. Moving on to step 4. So applying online. Important, you have to register on the Uni-assist online portal. Go to our website. You'll see there's a yellow up on the top on the right-hand side. You'll see online portal. That's where you can actually register, create your Uni-assist account. And that's where you can search for study programs and actually create and submit your application. Any documents that are not required as certified copy can be uploaded. So it's important, I'll reiterate, if the document is required as a certified copy, you cannot just upload this document. You actually have to mail it to us by post in an envelope. It has to reach our offices in paper version. Documents often like a resume or a recommendation letter don't necessarily have to be submitted as officially certified copies, and these documents can be uploaded in your Uni-assist online account. I see that there are some questions coming in pertaining to this topic, so that's great. I'm glad to see that you're actively involved in this webinar. We'll take all your questions at the end. So step 5, paying all the fees. So there are application fees here at Uni-assist. The first application that you submit per semester is 75 euros, and any additional application that you submit is 30 euros. This is regardless of the university. So if you're applying to 3 programs at one university or 3 programs at 3 different universities, the cost is going to be for that semester 135 euros, 75 for your first desired course of study and 30 euros for all additional applications. We put a tip here down in the yellow box on the bottom. Don't delay your payment. It's important to know that the 4 to 6 weeks processing times are counted as of the date we've received your payment. So it's important. If you're submitting an application, please pay the fees as soon as possible. So sending and tracking your application, moving on to the last step in the Uni-assist application process. Again, all documents that are required as officially certified copies have to be sent by post. We have to receive the paper version. You can mail these to us with your applicant number, and we'll associate this with your application that was submitted through the online portal. The actual application has to be submitted online. We don't accept paper versions of application forms, so you have to submit the application online and all supporting documents by post. If you want to track the status of your application, you have to go on to your online account, and there's a check status section, and you can check the status as your evaluation is being processed. The results will also be communicated through the online portal, but these results will be communicated by email and also by post. So it's important that throughout the application process you have a valid email address and that you keep us informed if your mailing address changes, especially in the cases when we're mailing out a VPD to you, which is important for your university application. We have to be able to be in touch with you throughout the application process. And then we'll evaluate your application in 4 to 6 weeks. Once you receive this evaluation report, if there's anything missing, if anything went wrong, and the application deadline is still open, well, then you're welcome to submit any further documents prior to the closing of the application deadline. So after we've done this, after we've evaluated your application, we'll submit your application electronically to the universities or issue a VPD in order that you apply directly to the university. And the universities will then consider your application and possibly grant you a study place, which we hope. So I hope this was informative. I wanted to take you through this 6-step application process. I will now give the mic over to my colleague Torsten, who'll give you a bit more country-specific information for Taiwan.
Thank you, Marie-Claire. Yes, I will now provide some information about your admission possibilities to German universities with certificates from Taiwan. Let's start with the regular school leaving certificate. If you apply with a regular school leaving certificate, an admission to a preparatory course, a so-called Studienkolleg of a German university, is possible. Then you have to hand in your school leaving certificate with a transcript of records. A direct admission to German universities is possible with a school leaving certificate and a general scholastic ability test with a score of at least 53 points in the total. Please note that tests like the advanced subject test are not accepted, or one successful year of undergraduate studies. If you apply with a vocational school leaving certificate, an admission to the preparatory course is possible with the school leaving certificate and one additional successful year of undergraduate studies. The direct admission is possible if you hand in your school leaving certificate and 2 successful years of undergraduate studies. An application is also possible with a junior college degree. If you hand in a junior college degree, you may be admitted to the preparatory course with a subject restriction. For a direct admission, another year of undergraduate studies in a bachelor program is required. A subject restriction also applies then. If you apply with a 4- or 5-year bachelor degree from a recognized university in Taiwan, and direct admission to German universities to undergraduate and master degree studies is possible. That's just an overview, and we go on with Marie-Claire.
Great. So hello again, everyone. We'll move on to, just as I was saying, some further information or just reminders of what's important. So for further information, again, visit the Uni-assist website. This webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our website. We also have some general presentations that are available on our website, which could be of help. Some of you might be listening into this webinar at a very early stage. You might be wanting to apply in 1 year or 2 years. So it's important to refresh this information and go back to our website prior to applying to see if anything has changed. I've mentioned this earlier on in the presentation, but on our website you have access to some checklists which will really help you make sure that you have all your documents gathered together. There's a lot of minute details that you have to be careful to when you're applying, so these checklists will help you. If you still have questions, go onto our website, go onto the online portal. There's a list of frequently asked questions there. These might be helpful when you have a very pointed question or you're not sure, or the information might be too general on our website. Then use these FAQs. And if, despite all of these tools, you still have some open questions, then don't hesitate to use the contact form. On our website, we actually don't have an actual email address where you can contact us. You just use the contact form, and you'll see there's a section that's written, "My questions have not been answered. I can ask another question here." Just click on that and a text box will open and you can submit our questions to us, and you'll usually get an answer within 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, so that was it from our side. We've taken you through the important points from what does Uni-assist do, the role, and the 6-step application process, information regarding Taiwan specifically. And now I see that our colleague, Herr Goldberger, is there again. So we're available for questions and try to answer them as best we can.
Marie-Claire, thank you so very much for this very informative presentation. I think we learned a lot, and also thank you to Thorsten. I did make some notes of the many questions that were asked during the webinar, and I try to ask them to you again. One question I saw that is from Marie-Claire. The question is, when can students start to send their application documents in relation to the application deadline? Is it possible, for example, to already send out documents in the beginning of May for application deadline in July?
The important thing is that the university has actually opened the application period through the online portal. So once you've registered on the Uni-assist website, you'll see you have to search your study program, and if you found this, you'll see right away if the application period is open. The application periods for the winter semester 2019-2020 are opening up right now. Most of them are actually open. So as long as this is open, then you can go ahead, fill in, submit the application, and mail in your documents.
Okay, thank you very much. Related question is if German universities do have different deadlines. I think the common deadline would be mid of July, but there is different deadlines as well, I guess.
Exactly. There are, yes, the 15th of July is one of the big deadlines here, but each university has specific deadlines. It varies a lot, especially at the master's level, depending on what study program you're choosing. So this is why it's important to get the information from the university. What is the actual deadline for your study program?
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Then maybe a question for Thorsten. There's a series of questions considering the certification of documents. In one case, one student mentions that his university does not certify documents, but they do issue stamped originals. Would that be acceptable for Uni-assist?
Yes, we would accept these documents. And we accept too if the university issues multiple transcripts or degree certificates, as long as we can see that it's not a simple copy that was done afterwards, and as long as we can see that the document you hand in was issued by the university, then we will accept it.
Mm-hmm.
So a stamp would be sufficient.
Another question maybe for you. The question is which kind of documents do have to be certified and which kind of documents can be directly uploaded without any kind of certification?
Usually the degree certificates and the transcripts need to be certified, and the language certificates too. All other documents like recommendation letters, motivation letters, and so on, they usually do not need to be certified. They may be uploaded.
Mm-hmm. And maybe a related question. So the non-certifiable documents can be directly uploaded, and all the other documents also have to be mailed to you in original. So the question was by one student, what about a recommendation letter by a professor? Does this have to be certified?
Well, again, it's very important to consult the universities. In most cases, I say recommendations letter don't necessarily have to be certified, but these are very tricky questions because we get in very quickly to various university criteria. So there might be one university that says, yeah, it has to be submitted as an officially certified document. So again, each university has its own criteria regarding what has to be certified, what doesn't, what documents have to be submitted. There's not sort of an overall rule for all universities, but as my colleague Thorsten was saying, recommendation letters, CVs, often can just be uploaded, but please check this information with the university you want to apply to.
Okay, I understand. So always recheck, double check what the actual regulation by the university is. One big topic a lot of students are also permanently asking us is, what happens if certain documents cannot be provided in time? A university degree or a high school diploma, for example, IB diploma, cannot be provided within the deadline. Is there an opportunity to hand it in later?
Maybe I'll start answering. The universities have deadlines, and we work with the deadlines that are given to us by the universities. Uni-assist cannot grant any extension deadline per se. Some universities have what we call in German a Nachreichfrist, so you're able to submit documents up until 2 weeks after the actual hard deadline. Other universities have very hard deadlines. If you, because of your specific situation, need to get or want to try to get an extension of this deadline, it's important to contact the universities. The universities are the only ones who could actually grant an exception case. Uni-assist doesn't have the power to do so. All documents have to be submitted prior to the deadline. To make it simple, some universities have an extension of the deadline, and it's written on their websites, and you can trust this information. And if the university has a hard deadline, but you yourself, because of your specific situation, want to negotiate an extension, that you would have to try to do that directly with the universities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to comment on the International Baccalaureate, the IB?
Yes, maybe just to say that there is a possibility to submit your application if any of you are going to be applying with an IB diploma. There is a possibility of submitting prior to the fact that this diploma has actually been issued, so we can verify your actual results online. But in order to do this, it's very important that you ask your school IB coordinator to make your results available to universities and relevant institutions like Uni-assist. So if this is not done, there's no way for us to go online and verify. So if you're going to be submitting an application with an IB diploma prior to the issuing of this IB diploma, then please contact your IB school coordinator and ask him to make the results, him or her, the results available to us. But it is important to say that you still have to submit the certificates from the 2 last academic years of your IB program, including the overview of subjects and grades. So the certificate handing in the actual diploma is one thing, but on top of that, we need the certificates from the last 2 academic years of the IB program.
I would like to add something. Yeah. And it is essential that you contact us again as soon as the IB diploma results are published by the IBO. So we will not investigate ourselves when these results are published, but you have to contact Uni-assist as soon as you know that the results are available. We will then look for the results and then may proceed with your application.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. There seems to be quite some confusion about what actually certification means. I have students asking if the university puts a stamp on the document. Is that a certification? Do students have to go to an official institution, for example, to the court? Or do they have to, is it enough for the university to put the document into a sealed envelope? What is considered a certification by Uni-assist, and how to ideally certificate the documents?
Okay, this is a point that where there are often mistakes that are made and can lead to a negative evaluation from Uni-assist. So basically, just to reiterate, your documents have to be officially certified. For official certification, there's various institutions that can do that. So we're talking here about a German public authority, an embassy, a notary, or the actual issuing institution itself. So if you've studied at a university, you can actually go back to that university and they are allowed to certify your university diploma or If you've studied at high school, you can go back to that actual high school and get your documents certified from that high school. What you cannot do is take your documents from high school X and go to high school B and get them certified from another high school. So it's important to state here that it's actually the issuing institution is the only one that can actually certify your documents. So if you're now studying at a university, the university can certify your transcripts, but they can't certify your high school diploma, for example. Okay, so these are the ones who can actually officially certify your documents.
Again, I see a couple. Well.
Yes, and if they stamp the document or if they give you the document in a sealed envelope, will not matter. We will accept both documents.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that is very clear. There's still a couple of questions asking what kind of documents have to be certified. So the question is language certificates. Is it by usually third countries? Do they need a certification? I see one is asking for a research essay. Do you need a certification for that? Like one is language documents, like a TOEFL exam or a TestDAF exam. Do they need to be certified?
I know the TOEFL results can be verified online, I believe. I think I would just like to look at my question. TOEFL results can be verified online, and I'm not sure about the test. The
test stuff may be verified online too, but if the TOEFL needs to be verified, the applicants need to mention our institutional code to ETS. It's only then possible for us to verify the TOEFL. The IELTS also may be verified.
So these big language exams usually can easily be verified online and do not need to be specially certificated. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
But again, maybe again, just to reiterate, these are all criteria that are set by the universities. So it's important to just always verify this information with the universities.
So all these questions actually directly should be verified with the university rather than with Uni-assist. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
One question. Does Uni-assist accept documents only when the university starts the application? So before the application, the announcement of an application deadline of university, you're probably not taking in any documents, any application forms.
This is a good question. If the applicant actually has created an application account, has registered through the online account and has an applicant number, I would discourage anybody from sending us documents if they don't have a Uni-assist applicant number, because we cannot associate what you're mailing us per post to an account that we would have here. So I would say be careful when sending us documents too early. But if you already have a Uni-assist applicant account, and if you've applied maybe to other universities and you're sending in further documents, we just have to be able to associate your documents to your applicant number. So make sure that if you're sending us some documents prior to the application period being open, that you clearly indicate what your applicant number is, so that we are able to associate these documents to the right account.
One question, which I think you also hear very often, one student is confused on what kind of nationality or educational background he should enter for his application. In his case, he did his high school degree in Taiwan and did bachelor studies in Hong Kong, which he obviously now is about to finish, and then he wants to apply for a master's. So is he applying as a Hong Kong student or a Taiwanese student?
I will answer this. Yeah, if he got his bachelor degree from Hong Kong, we will evaluate his bachelor degree from Hong Kong. So yeah, his citizenship remains the same, but he will get an evaluation result that refers to his bachelor degree from Hong Kong.
So it's always the latest and highest degree you did that is defining on what kind of country class you're put into, not your actual nationality.
Yes. Yes. If he applies for the master program. If he would apply for a bachelor program, then it would be possible that we consider his high school diploma and his general scholastic ability test. So it could be that he got 2 evaluation reports, 2 different.
Okay, understand. One question here is, do all the language certificates need to be mailed in original version, or is a simple copy of the language certificate acceptable for Uni-assist?
Again, I think we were talking about this earlier. So the university is the one who sets the criteria. A lot of the big language certificates can be verified online, and if they can, then a normal copy then is sufficient, but I would encourage applicants to verify this with the universities to find out in what form the language certificates are actually accepted.
Then I see there's a few questions on payment regulations. So the case seems to be certain universities have an earlier deadline, and the student already paid his Uni-assist deadline, but he also would like to apply for further universities. How do you manage payment on different deadlines? Maybe you could elaborate a little bit on that.
The important thing is that you pay your application fee prior to the deadline. As I was saying, applications that you've submitted but that have not yet been paid don't come into the, are not being processed, are not considered as complete. So it's important that you, when you're submitting an application, that you pay it as soon as possible, and only then can we start counting the 4 to 6 weeks. So it's just important that the money be received prior to the application deadline.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this is a source of quite some confusion. I think some university ask for ECTS points in order to judge the Taiwanese university coursework. Of course, in Taiwan there is no ECTS points, so students are confused on what to tell the universities, how to deal with the ECTS system, European Credit Transfer System. I don't know.
Yeah, I will answer that. Yeah, it is difficult for us. We are not able to transfer credits from Taiwan into the ECTS system, to European Credit Transfer System. We just look for the equivalence of the degree. We confirm that a degree from Taiwan is equivalent to a 3 or 4 year German degree. That would be 180 or 240 European credits in the European Credit Transfer System. But if the university needs a certain amount of credits in special subjects, then the university, the professors of the university need to transfer it for themselves. We are not able to do this because there's there are no rules how to transfer the Taiwanese credits into the ECTS system.
Well, one question which we also often get asked, students look at the so-called Bavarian formula, and then they wonder how they should apply the Bavarian formula to their grades. The question is, do they have to do that, or is actually Uni-assist going to transfer all the grades as an institution?
We will transfer all the grades, so the students do not have to do this themselves. Of course, they may check if they got the evaluation result from us. They may recheck if their result, if they calculated themselves, is the same, and may ask for the result if they think a different German grade should be the result. But we transfer the grade, so there's no need.
That's exactly what I believe. So students don't need to count their own or transfer their own marks into the German system. That is exactly the job Uni-assist is doing. to give out the Bavarian formula just as an aid for students to kind of know how they stand, what their marks would be in the German system. Okay, thank you very much.
Exactly.
See. One student is asking, I finished my high school in Taiwan and went to a university in Taiwan for 2 years, then transferred to university in Korea. So again, which nationality or which? The German university I want to apply requires a document called University Entrance Qualification. Since I had entered the university in Taiwan first, then transferred to the so-called university entrance qualification would still be the transcript of university entrance examination, the Schweizerkausch, the Taiwanese exam. Or the question is, she studied at 2 universities. Should she apply the university entrance qualification for the Taiwanese university or for the Korean university?
The applicants should always hand in all transcripts and certificates they already got. So because it may differ, what documents, what certificates and transcripts we need to consider, especially if the students or the pupils change the countries. So I don't know, did she graduate in Korea or didn't she graduate yet?
It's, I think, not very clear. Yeah, she's answering now in Korea.
So if the applicant is asked for the university entrance qualification in the online application, then he or she should give the information about entering the university in Taiwan. And if she already graduated in Korea and applies for a master program in Germany, we will consider the Korean degree and will check if the records that were done in Taiwan, if they influence the result of the evaluation of the Korean degree. But these are special cases where we need to check all transcripts and all certificates, degree certificates the applicants got. So please then hand in all documents.
Mm-hmm. Actually, the student who asked the question is still typing, but I cannot see the question. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. One student claims that certain universities in Germany say that the application will be proceeded by Uni-assist, but there is no fee, like Frankfurt University. You don't need to pay a fee for Uni-assist. Is that a fact?
Yes, that's possible. Some universities will cover the cost of the application process for applicants. So you just have to verify when you're applying online. It's not all universities, and some universities do it for certain programs, but not for all programs or not for all degrees. So this does vary. So you can trust if you submit an application that says that there are no fees for you. This is because the university is taking over the fees for you.
There's one question which I think you already answered in your report. The question is by a student who already applied for TU Munich and handed in all his documents already, and now he would like to apply for another university. And his question is if he has to send his documents.
If you're applying within the same semester, so Uni-assist keeps your documents on file, and one set of documents is enough. You do not have to send 2, 3 certified copies of the same document. What's important is to verify that you've responded to all the criteria of every university for which you are applying. So if one university doesn't request one document and you didn't send it in, but then you're applying to another university, please make sure that you have submitted all the documents necessary for all universities where you are applying. But if the universities require the same documents, then one set of documents is sufficient.
I see some questions are
so maybe just to Maybe just to give this one as a good example, because I believe the student had applied to the TU Munich. The TU Munich works with the VPD. I was mentioning this procedure. So in the VPD procedure, oftentimes we do not verify the language qualifications. So if the student is then applying to another university that works in the standard procedure, well then it will probably be necessary to submit language documents, for example. So this is just one example here of how different universities will require different sets of documents.
I see that a couple of questions are a little bit repetitive. Actually, we answered them. I would like to directly answer them. One question is about the Taiwan grading system, which of course is different to the German grading system. You do not have to transfer the grades yourself. You can do that to know how your grades would be like in Germany, but this is done by Uni-assist. You do not need to transfer your grades yourself. And then there's a question on academic exchange transcript. The student stayed for a period of time abroad. Yes, you should give all your documents, all your academic documents to Uni-assist and to the application form. So also if you stayed for a period of time abroad, you also should hand in the documentation on these stays abroad. Everything you have, starting from your high school graduation diploma. A question on scholarship application. Scholarship application maybe we do another time because Uni-assist is not responsible for scholarship. Maybe you can directly contact DAAD for scholarship information. You'll also have a list of different programs on our webpage. So this is really not the content of today's webinar. Thank you very much for your understanding. A question on changing subjects. I think that is a very common subject. In this case, the student is studying food science in Taiwan, and he or she would like to switch to a different department in Germany for a master degree program. So the food science program is supposedly a bachelor's program. Is it possible to switch to a different subject?
Depends on the programs and the universities. I'd like to answer though that there are master programs in Germany which are consecutive, so the university expects a bachelor degree which is similar to the master program which will be studied, and there are programs who do not have such admission criteria, so then it would be able to change the department, but it depends on the university and the programs offered, so the applicants need to inform themselves at the university about their possibilities.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And basically it's a decision of the university whether they want to accept you in a new subject. It should be at least a related subject usually. To start something completely new is very difficult in Germany. There's one question by a student who should hand in a so-called course description, and his home university doesn't provide a course description. The German university advised to just create a PDF file which links to the course contents. His question is, does this need to be certified?
It's very hard to answer because I don't know what university exactly, but usually, yes, some universities do require a syllabus, which is sort of a description of the modules that were taken and whatnot. In most cases, these types of documents, because they're general information documents that you might be able to upload even from your university website in Taiwan. Usually these documents are not required as a certified copy. But I put emphasis on usually here. Important to check with the universities, but usually a course syllabus, a program description could be a document that could simply be uploaded.
Well,
and this is why we say that it's so important to apply, if you can, 8 weeks in advance, because if any of these documents have been submitted in the wrong format, you'll be informed of this once we've processed your application. And you'll receive a detailed report from Uni-assist which says you're missing this or you submitted this document in the wrong format. And then if you applied 8 weeks in advance, you're able to correct these mistakes. You still have a bit of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. I think one last question, because we are actually already beyond our deadline, and I want to thank you very much for working so hard with us. One last question, which seems to be still general confusion. The student says his high school diploma he could find his high school diploma on NABIN. Of course, all diplomas will be found on NABIN. They should all be listed there. And he's asking if he now can directly apply for a German university, or does he need to review the documents by Uni-assist? That is really not up to the student's decision. Either the university is collaborating with Uni-assist, then you have to mail your documents to Uni-assist, or the university is taking in the documents itself. So you really have to see the specific program. Yeah. I see that there's still many more questions. Well, there's the opportunity to contact Uni-assist directly, and of course you can contact us in Taipei. Today time is up, so thank you very much for this very active participation, and thank you for all these very, very good answers and good information we got from Germany. Okay, so.
Great, thank you very much. Have a good day.
you